Okay, so I'm going to start off this episode asking you a few questions, and I want you to answer them honestly. You ready? First question. Are you feeling bored within your business and brand? Next question. Are you feeling like the results within your business and or your experience within your business have fallen a bit stagnant? And final question, do you feel as if you are currently only scratching the surface of your immense potential? So if you answered yes to any of those, doesn't have to be all, but to any of them, then this episode is absolutely for you. If you didn't, but this episode got your attention anyway, for whatever reason, keep listening because you know you're going to get some good nuggets. But especially if you answered yes to any of those, this is for you. Let's go. Welcome to All In with Allie, the podcast for online business owners and entrepreneurs who are ready to create the life and business of their dreams. I am so happy you are here. So I was perusing Pinterest a few months ago. It's been a minute. And I came across this ad, and I've talked about this before with clients. I've definitely talked about this before in my membership. I don't know if I've talked about it here. So if I have, then just bear with me. But there's a reason why I'm bringing it up again. Because I came across this ad of, it was like this beautiful woman walking slow motion. And the text over the screen was like, disappear for 6 months, come back brand new, basically, like come back as the blah, blah, blah archetype. It was like dark femme archetype, or I can't remember it. Every time you see the ad, it's different. But I found this to be so interesting for a couple reasons, because number one, as often as I saw this brand, it had to be working. Like something about this brand is super enticing, not only to me, but to other people. But then also I'm like, why is this so enticing? Like, what is it about disappearing for a few months and coming back new, right? As like a new version of you. What is that? What is that in us that we find that so appealing? And furthermore, is that necessary? Like, why would we want to do this? And is it necessary to disappear? And I can't remember if it was like a month or 6 months, but either way, like, is the disappearing piece necessary? And I've thought a lot about this. And by the way, in case you're wondering, this ad, it leads you to a quiz, like this in-depth personality quiz, and it leads you to some mindset app. I can't remember which app. Anyway, I was like, what is this? and that's what it leads you to. But it got me thinking, right? Like, this is so interesting. And what it brought up for me too is memories. I remember back in my 20s, right? And actually, like, even before that, I've had many moments where it's like something within me is like, we need to change. Something needs to change, right? Like we need to zhuzh this up a little bit. Like what we're doing right now is not working. And I've always loved the idea of this kind of like all around rebrand as a human. And I've since taken it into business, and we'll talk about that. But I even remember, like in my 20s, for example, this was well before Chris, well before kids, but I was like in college, I was a bartender, and in, you know, your classic 20s toxic relationship that goes on way too long, and like being so caught up in the drama. And there were multiple times where I was like, you know what I should do? I need to just delete all of my social media, fully focus on me, like keep contact with close friends and family. Otherwise, like I've dropped off the face of the earth, and I fully like focus on school, read self-development, dye my hair, like whatever I need to do. get myself strong again, allow myself to like re-meet myself in the depths of where I am and come out as the new version of me, and then reintegrate myself, you know? And I never did that. And I wouldn't go back and change anything now because we're good. But I've always wondered, like, I wonder what would have happened if I had the courage then to do that. But regardless, I've done this in business multiple times for myself. I have met myself in these moments where it's like, this isn't accurate anymore, right? Whether it be like the results that I'm receiving in the moment, the way that I'm representing myself as a business, as a brand isn't accurate anymore. How I feel about what it is that I'm doing and the things that I'm talking about, like a change is needed. And anytime, or not anytime, every single time I have heeded this call and I've been able to be self-aware enough to feel this call and this desire for new, and I've met it with, okay, what does that look like? And let's do the things, let's make the changes. I've always come out the other side with bigger and better results, experiences, just my own experience of the thing feels better, right? It's like that feeling when you cut all of your hair off. That's like the best way that I can describe it. If you've ever done that before, whether you ended up regretting the haircut or not, it's that buildup of like, where you're like, I just need to, like, the old has got to go. And it's this representation, this manifestation of I'm different now. Like the old me is gone. This is the new me now, you know? And it's funny that I'm talking about this because my hair is way lighter. If like you watch the videos of these, I've recently, I don't know if you consider me blonde or what, but we've been going a little bit blonder. And I almost went back brunette, but I was like, well, we're already here. Let's keep lightening a little bit. And I'm loving it. But it's just funny that I'm having this conversation now. But you know, like if you've ever done that before, you know, it is exhilarating, that feeling when you heed that call, when you answer that call within of like, hey, and oftentimes it's not even loud. And oftentimes it shows up as this feeling of like, this doesn't feel very fun anymore. This doesn't feel like it should or like it has. This doesn't feel like me. And I've thought about this a lot because, like I said, I've felt this many times in life and multiple times in business. And I've had multiple periods where in business where it's like, okay, it's time for a pivot and it's time for like a reinvention of some sorts. And when thinking about this, I believe the reason why this comes up for us and will come up for you, no doubt, at multiple times in your career is because we're changing all the time, right? You are rapidly, maybe not rapidly. I feel like people grow at different paces, but you are growing and evolving all the time. And if you are focused on self-development, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are growth oriented, then you are rapidly growing and evolving all the time. So it makes sense that every few months or however long this comes up for you, unless you are consistently allowing your business and your prices and your branding and clientele and, you know, whatever is representative of who you are as a business and brand in your industry, unless these are changing consistently along with you, then of course there's going to be a time where you wake up one day and you realize, oh, my shoes are too small, right? Like that's what that is. It's like all of a sudden you wake up, you're like, oh, I don't fit into this size anymore. I'm too big for this. Why does this doesn't feel comfortable anymore? This feels tight. This feels uncomfortable. And what this actually feels like to me in my experience is stagnancy, is boredom, is like I'm not living up to my full potential, or I'm not being sincere anymore. That's happened. There was one particular time in my business, it was the summer of 2021, and I was hardcore pouring into myself in personal development and mindfulness, and I was just really taking care of myself in that way. And I just went to, like, anytime I went to post something online or sell, or even sometimes like hosting calls with clients, it just, the best way I can describe it, and you've heard me use this phrase before, it felt like I all of a sudden was walking through mud. It just didn't feel as easeful as it used to. And what I've now learned, this is a key indicator for me that something's amiss. Something needs to be shifted. And back in summer of 2021, at first I didn't answer this, right? I felt it and I was just like, I mean, we have a lot to do as entrepreneurs. We have a lot going on, especially if, you have kids or a busy life in addition to your business. So you're like, okay, maybe it's just a bad day or whatever. Maybe it's just a bad week. And it kept getting louder and louder. I kept getting more annoyed with my business experience and my experience of my business, to the point that it was like, do I even want to do this anymore? And I knew the answer to that was yes, but not in the way that I was currently doing it. And as a matter of fact, what I also noticed too was I felt like my energy felt stagnant, but also my results had fallen stagnant too. And I remember distinctly around this time receiving coaching around like being stuck at 15 to 20K months, which is amazing. And I was so grateful for that. But I felt like I had hit this cap on what I was doing. So again, not only feeling stagnant about my experience, but also my results had totally fallen stagnant. And it was like, okay, why am I not able to access like the next level? What's missing here? And there were a few factors of this for sure. Like one thing, and I've talked about this many times. So like one thing was I was not feeling gratitude for where I was at all, because I was so focused on getting new and getting more. So that was huge for me to be like, whoa. I'm so deeply grateful for what it is that I do. And when I was able to reconnect with that gratitude for the business that I have, that was wildly helpful. And also I had to answer the stagnancy in the energy. Okay, what is it? What is it about what I'm doing right now that is not working? And for me, it was that I had grown so much that darn near everything, from the offers I was putting out to all of my branding to the content that I would share and the things that I would talk about, to even the mentors I was working with, even like friend groups, right? Like I it just felt like, okay, some things, they got to go. Like they need to be zhuzhed up, they need to be shaken up and changed in some way, or they've got to go, because these are not working anymore. And when I got clear on those things, and more importantly, actually took action, and then those changes were actually visible, it was the proverbial business haircut is what it was. It was like I went from, I had like ass length hair to all of a sudden I got like the boss bob. And when I made these changes, and it was like, whoa, this is her, but she's not the same. And it led me to like those stagnant 15 to 20K months shifted to 30, shifted to 40, shifted to consistent 50K months and kept growing consistently from there. Like it led to the new that I was looking for. It led to that new level. But in order to get the new, there's got to be new, right? Like you can't keep doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results. We know this, we hear this, but it's so cliche that it's something that I feel like it can very easily slide under the radar. Okay. So if you're resonating with any of this, right? If you feel like you are feeling disconnected, you feel like, again, the results aren't matching what it is that you should be, what you're doing on the outside is not reflective of who you are on the inside, then maybe some sort of reinvention is in order. And I just want to share too, this is really, really something to think about because as we know, you're going to get mirrored back to you how you feel within, right? As within, so without. If you are feeling bored, if you're feeling stagnant, if you're feeling disconnected, you don't feel great gratitude for where you are, you're not having a good time, then what are you going to get back in your business? You're going to get a lot more of the same. So what can we do to not only be more of that accurate representation of who you now are as a rapidly growing and evolving human being? Because I know everybody who listens to this is rapidly growing and evolving all the time. What can we do to rapidly or to more accurately reflect who you actually are, but also to make you excited again, to reignite that passion for your business again? This is really big. I feel like this is something that not a lot of entrepreneurs talk enough about. Even there can be some of you listening right now, and I've been in this experience too, where the results are resulting. You are making good money. You have clients that you love and that you adore, and you're doing work that you are connected to, but something about the way you're going about it feels blah. Right? The passion has died down a little bit. In the same way that you can experience this in relationships, like anybody who's been married for longer than 5 minutes, say amen, because like we've all been there. We've all been like, it's not that your partner all of a sudden sucks or isn't right for you. It's just that we got to freshen it up a little bit. We need to reconnect. We need to remember what we're in this for. We need to redecide, recommit, reinvent this next level of us as a couple, as a union, to embark on the next level and to reach a new level in our relationship. In the same way that is so true in your relationships, whether it's with a romantic partner or a best friend over the years, this is so true in our businesses. So in my experience, it starts kind of quiet, right? It starts as like, maybe this is just a bad day, to maybe this is kind of like a bad, weird week, to why is this getting louder and louder? And sometimes you don't want to heed the call because it's like, you know, we spend so much time getting ourselves to where we are. And it's like, the last thing I want to do is now change things. What about consistency? Well, baby, you're the consistent factor here. You shifting your prices, you playing with your branding, you playing with your offers is not being inconsistent. This is you creating new for your current clients and probably new ones that are going to be attracted to this new iteration of who you are. But I fully get it. I fully had those thoughts of like, oh my gosh, change again, switch it up again. Yeah, it's like a haircut. Do you want it or not? Okay, maybe we don't cut a full bob, but like, what about some highlights? What would be the proverbial highlights in your business and brand? Something has got to shift. And that's going to look different for every single one of us, because at the end of the day, as business owners, as the leaders of our businesses and the founders of our businesses and the captains of the ship, it's our job to stay fresh. It's our job to keep the fire alive, to keep the passion alive for what it is that we do. It's our job to create an inner world and maintain an inner world that is a match for what we want to see on the outer world and what we want to attract in. And as business owners, especially online business owners, it is our job to market ourselves well in ways that make us excited, that's connected and authentic to who we are right now, so that what we put out as marketing and content, and when we show up, the energy is there. If you have ever made a post just to post, or that you're just like, I just need to post something, well, just get this out. You remember how that went? There is a big difference in a piece of content, or even go back to a launch that you've done in your business, where you are so like genuinely excited for what you're putting out into the world and the way that you're putting it out into the world, versus when you're tired, or you're not, like, you don't really love, maybe you love what it is that you're selling, but the strategy isn't aligned, or the content isn't aligned. It's not going to go as well as the one where it is. It's just not. So if you are feeling stale, flat, bored, like you need to shake it up a little bit, like what you're doing isn't you anymore, a reinvention is in order. So let's bring it back to this question of, okay, if we were to do this, right? Like the proverbial haircut for the business and brand, because we're going to keep this focus on business and brand, obviously, because that's what we do here. But like, what is this vibe of disappearing? Is that necessary? What I have found in my experience, okay, and this is just my opinion on this, I have found it is an option, but it is absolutely not necessary. Not only is it not necessary, but it's also not feasible and not realistic for most people, right? Like if you've got an ongoing business and brand, it probably does not make sense, and it's probably a little irresponsible to disappear, for 6 months, maybe a month. I know many people have taken months off. That's one thing. But like, is it necessary to do the job of reigniting your passion, reinventing yourself, putting out the new into the world? In my opinion, the answer is no. It's an option. You can absolutely do that. If you want to be that badass and fully pour into you and come back brand new, I love that. And that's available to you, but it is absolutely not necessary, again, in my humble opinion. Okay. So before we get into, because I'm going to share with you like some things that I want you to consider. If you're like, okay, this is me, I need this. Something's got to change, and I'm ready to shake it up a little bit in the way that I present myself and things that I do, and reignite my fun again. Here are some major reinventions to think about, because this is standard. This is something like, if you go and you think of, like, you see this a lot in famous people, and those are the examples that we have, obviously, that we can find, and we can actually like see the evolution of somebody. It's mostly famous people, but anybody who has been in the game for longer than 5 minutes, they've reinvented themselves probably multiple times. This is how you stay in the game, right? Like, growth and evolution is the game across the board, no matter what. And how you do that is you've got to stay magnetic. You've got to stay interesting to people. If you never change, you might be appreciated for that, for sure. But there's always going to be like this shiny new thing over here. And I'm not saying this needs to be a comparison thing. And I'm certainly not saying you need to change anything in order to keep up with somebody else. That is absolutely not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, as you grow and evolve, you need to have the level of self-awareness and discipline to say, okay, what is this next version of me? And how do I represent that now? How do I be true to this now? What does that look like? Sometimes these are tiny little pivot changes. Sometimes these are giant, giant, giant changes. So I'm going to give you a list of famous people who have made giant changes and reinventions in their careers, and it's worked out really freaking well. So starting with number one, Taylor freaking Swift, right? Huge reinvention. She was like country sweetheart to pop superstar to indie folklore, right? She's done this multiple times in her career. Love her or hate her, it doesn't matter. She is a queen of reinvention. We love that. Arnold Schwarzenegger, John Cena, The Rock, right? These pro wrestlers are, Arnold was a bodybuilder, but they go from this pretty interesting career fighting or building muscle if you're Arnold to famous actors, wildly famous actors, by the way. Arnold then goes to be the governor of California. Like, you can't reinvent more drastic than that. If you really think about it, it's kind of crazy. Kim Kardashian. We all know how she started in the game, right? Being famous just because, or, whatever you think the reason is, to now being this giant brand mogul. Jennifer Lopez was a backup dancer who then turned to actress, then turned pop star, then turned back to actress to Super Bowl, Super Bowl. Star of the Super Bowl. One of them anyway. Gwyneth Paltrow, Oscar-winning actress to the creator of massive brand and business Goop. Lady Gaga, insanely successful pop star to a pretty good actress. Jordan Peele of Key and Peele, comedian and actor, switched to writing, producing, and director a massive successful horror movie, Get Out. And now he's doing more horror movies when you probably would have typecast him as just a comedian, a funny guy for his whole career because he was so darn good at it. Now he's doing like completely the opposite. Jessica Alba, actress to, and actually I think before then she was like maybe a model or something, turned actress, turned the founder and CEO of Honest Co. I think she's the CEO, but anyway, she's founder of the Honest Company. Okay. So these are huge examples of people who throughout different stages of their career dared to not only ask the question, who am I now, to okay, now how do I represent myself as that new version to the public, to the world? This is not easy. Making these changes are not easy, but I want you to go back and think of all of these examples. Do you think Taylor, when she was freaking killing it as a country star, the writing was on the wall, she'd already made it. Do you think when she was deciding to switch genres, which at the time wasn't as popular, wasn't as common, do you think she had any doubt when she was going to do that? I would guess so. I'm sure there were a lot of naysayers out there. And I remember when she switched to pop and everybody was like, okay, this isn't going to last. This is, there's no way. This is whatever. Now look at her. Right? I think if you were to go to Jessica Alba and say, hey, you were a pretty good actress. If you had kept at it, you would have continued doing great work, right? Do you think she felt nervous about starting a clean beauty company? Probably. But do you think if you went to any of those people and you asked them, do you regret it now? Do you think their answer would be yes? Doubt it. So it's normal to feel a little bit of trepidation when you want to make any kind of change in life, but especially in your business, especially as an established business and brand. That's normal. But the difference between the average normal person and people who go on to do insane things, like the list of people that we have named, and other incredible business owners that we haven't named, is because they're able to walk with that fear and follow their intuition and their gut and those impulses anyway, and make those changes and take the risk of doing something new and presenting themselves as somebody new. So 3 things that I want you to do if you're like, okay, this is me. A change is a coming. How do I do this? What does this look like? I want you to consider these 3 areas. And what I would do if I were you, I personally would journal on these and see what comes up. But the big piece here is the follow through afterward. Okay. That's the most important piece. So if you feel like there's a reinvention in order, I want you to think of these 3 things. First thing, we need to realign what it is that you need and that you want. Okay? You're rapidly growing and evolving. What you're going for may not be the thing that even gets you excited anymore. What you do to take care of yourself, what you do to keep you happy and just operating on a normal level may not be the thing that's aligned anymore. So let's take it to like basic needs and levels, the way that what it is that you're eating and caring for yourself, the things that you're doing for fun, the people that you're hanging around. What we need to realign, we need to get clear on like, what is this next version of you that you're calling in? And pro tip here, if you're not sure what that next level is, like, what do you want it to be? Like so remember when I said I was like stuck, I was feeling stuck at 15 to 20K months. My next level was 50K. It was like, okay, I'm ready for like I was just thinking of like the monetary results. What does that look like monetarily? And that also looked like different types of offers that I was creating. But at first it was just like, okay, the results. That's okay. So like, what do you want it to be? So, and I know I said I was going to keep this to like business and brand, but we'll talk a little bit outside of that too, because we got to look at a holistic picture, because as the owners of businesses and brands, you're a human first, right? So we got to look at the whole. So this might be something where you're like, okay, this next version of me, like she feels a certain way, right? She feels a certain way in her body. She has a certain level of energy. Okay. So what's the next thing that we need to reach that? Maybe it's a new workout routine. Maybe it's eating differently. Maybe it's letting go of a vice that you know is old 1.0 version of you to tap into 2.0 version of you. But we've got to get clear on, I would do this in every area of your life, in health, in business, in relationships, personal, like look at every area and ask yourself, what do you need right now as a woman and a boss to be realigned with what it is how you're feeling within, how you want to feel within? That's the first area I would look. The next thing that we need to do is we need to recalibrate to your new normal and your new desires that you're calling in. So when you start attracting in, or when you easily attract things in, it's because it's off of a pedestal. We've talked about this a lot in this podcast. It's when you keep things on a pedestal that you're keeping it within arm's distance of you. So when you normalize what it is that you're doing, that's when it kind of becomes your new normal, right? It's just who you are. So there was that point in time where I had totally normalized 20K months. Like I get up and I make 20K months. That's just what I do. And the key here is we still feel grateful for it, but it's also not shocking. It's your new normal, you know? So what is the new normal? What is this thing that we need to recalibrate to? And oftentimes this looks like taking that next thing off of the pedestal. That's one of the best things that you can do. Okay. You want to hit X amount of downloads on your podcast, take it off the pedestal. It's not that like you're the one who's adding meaning. You want to hit XK or X figures in your business, take it off the pedestal. What that means is removing that meaning. So if it feels big for you, if it feels like something that's only available to the best of the best, or, you know, whatever the story is, you are attaching meaning that is unnecessary. Money has no meaning. Results have no, like we attach all of the meaning. So this is why some of you, when you hear that I was hitting 50K months or 20K months and saying that it wasn't enough or that I wanted to hit more, you were like, oh, I can't even imagine hitting that, right? It's because the meaning that you've attached that is very different than what I had attached to it. And in the past, this is such a good example, because in the beginning of my business, one of my first big goals was to hit 20K months. That, like, I couldn't even fathom that. I could not fathom $20,000 coming to me in a month, let alone multiple. That was like, to me, that was like my I made it moment if I could do that. Do you know what I mean? So there was that point where we're like I can pull up journals. I have journals where like, that's the thing that I was manifesting. I make 20K months. I would like write it again and again. I make 20K months, 20K months, 20K months. And I had it on this pedestal, right? And as I continued going, it became this thing that, like, as I got closer, it was just like, it came this thing that like would be cool to it's inevitable. So it started to become normalized, and then I hit it, and then I hit it again. And then it became this normal thing. So do you see how that shifts? So I had to recalibrate then to what is the new thing that I need to take off the pedestal? What are these things for you? What is it that you are attaching unnecessary meaning to on your, quote unquote, next level that we need to remove and detach that meaning, that we need to resurrender to? This is huge. Huge, huge, huge when you're ready to calibrate some more. Because again, we don't even realize that we're doing this, but we have these things, these people, these moments, these experiences on this pedestal. And because of that, we're keeping it within arm's reach of us because it is outside of us. Because we've never done it before, because we can't imagine, because it would be so cool. You can still feel like it would be so cool, and you can still hold the excitement for it without keeping it at arm's length. And then finally, the really fun part, in my opinion, if you have an online business and brand, like I said, one of our jobs is to market ourselves in a way that holds the magnetism of what we feel inside. That's a match for how we feel on the inside. If you feel like a freaking boss and that ultimate, best, most real, most authentic's the word for sure. But I guess like the newest version of you, the most evolved version of you, we need to integrate her into everything outside of us, right? And especially as business owners, this is a piece that a lot of people don't realize that they're missing because they keep going with the same branding, same colors, same vibe, same content, same style, same strategy, same, because it's what they used to do before, because it's what's worked in the past before, because it'd be too complicated, too annoying, too whatever to change it. So it's a mismatch. And then they wonder why they keep attracting more of the same people, experiences, results, and how they're feeling on the inside is not being reflected on the outside. It's because how you're really feeling on the inside is this, like you're not answering the call. So that's what you're getting reflected back to, right? So the third piece is, how do we integrate this next version of ourselves within and without, inside of us and outside of us? How do we match the next level that we're calling in within, inside of ourselves, to where like, this is who we are now, and outside of ourselves for the new that's going to come in, for the new brand and clients and people that are coming in. When you get these things matched to each other, you're going to blow your mind. That's just a fact. And again, I've said this, like anytime that I've had these moments in my business where I answer, it feels like a call. Like that's what it feels like. It feels like this itch, this urge of like something needs to change. Something like I just feel like it's that haircut itch, right? I need to just change it all. It doesn't have to be all. It could be as big as small as you want to, but like you answer the call. And when you do, I believe what happens is because you're now a match for how you're feeling inside and you're matching it to like this outside manifestation of the inner. It's like it takes the magnetism level to a degree that you haven't experienced in a long time. It's just fallen a little flat. It's fallen a little stagnant. That's why you feel that way, right? So a reinvention is in order. Are you allowing yourself to do that? Are you allowing yourself to play in business, in life, in whatever area? It's so freaking fun. And I personally do not believe that we need to disappear to make this happen. We get to do this at any point. You could do this overnight in some cases. Sometimes all it takes is just tiny little tweaks here and there to get insane results. Because you're not only shifting your point of attraction, but the frequency. That's what that is, right? Your point of attraction is the frequency. When you match the frequency of those levels, that's when you can attract it in. So definitely reflect on those 3 prompts for you. But anybody who wants to take this deeper and you're like, okay, I want to do this, but like for real. I want to do this, but not alone. Like I want to go deeper on this, but I'm not exactly sure what this looks like. This is actually going to be the focus of my next class. So I personally have shifted a few things in my own business. I've reinvented a few new offers in my business. I'm going to tell you about those now because I think you're really going to like them, because one of them includes a low cost membership that you can cancel anytime. And I'm going to be teaching classes in a way unlike any way. Well, I've done this a few ways before and they worked really well. And I'm going back to this model that I used to do, or that I've done a few times. It wasn't something I did consistently. And now I'm making it more of a thing. So let me tell you about it. First of all, my next class that I'm teaching is called Reinvention. So we're taking this and it's going to be on steroids. So if you're feeling like you want to do this in a much more tangible way and have fun with it, come to this class. We'll put the link in the show notes. And there's a couple of ways that you can get it. So you can buy the class by itself, which is perfect, right? You can just get the class. That's one way. But then I also now have this brand new low cost membership, again, that you can cancel anytime. So I have another membership that's a year-long commitment. That's all in the membership. And if you're in the membership, you get all these classes that I'm about to talk about. But this new membership are for those of you who you don't want the year-long commitment, but you want to get access to multiple programs for a good price. That's this next membership. So it's called the LFG membership, Let's Effing Go. That's what it stands for. And it's $99 a month. We also have a pay in full $990 where you get 2 months free and you get a to the moon strategy call with me. So if you want to sit down and strategize with me, you can pay in full for this and you get that as a bonus for a limited time. But with the LFG membership, I have a list of teachings that I'm going to teach over the next year. You can see it on the sales page. You can see the full list. I've left space for a few that I want to like allow myself. I don't want to plan everything out to the T. So I've left space for programs that come inspired over the year. But I've already have this list of things that I'm teaching brand new or reteaching. But the way that I'm teaching it is in one class. Okay. So one thing that I notice about myself as a business owner, as a mom, as somebody who I've got a full life, right? One thing that I notice about myself is while I appreciate programs and investing in whatever the program is that I need to, the skill that I want to learn, while of course there's a time and a place for them. What I don't love is when it takes days and days or weeks or months. Like, to me, if I want to learn something, I want to learn it fast. Okay. I will, of course, take the time to integrate. I'll do what I need to do there. But as far as the concepts, if it takes longer than a few months or days, months, of course, weeks or days, if it takes too long, I'm out. Like, I don't have personally the bandwidth. I do, but like, I don't want to have the bandwidth for that, I guess. Like, just give it to me, like we don't need to take so much time. And I've talked to a lot of clients who feel the same. So it's like, okay, I want to offer my classes in this way, right? Like where I teach, and I've been doing this again, I've done this a few times and you'll see me market it like, okay, this is no fluff. It is succinct. It's to the point. Like, I'm just giving it to you raw and nasty here. I'm like, I don't need to sugarcoat it. We're just like getting to the good stuff. I've done that, and those classes tend to go really well. And I think that's the reason why. So with this membership, if you were to join the membership, you get as long as you're a member, this list of programs I'm going to be teaching over the course of a year. And it's going to be done in these one-time transmissions. And sometimes it'll be an hour. Sometimes it'll be multiple hour transmissions that you can come and you can watch the recording, however many times you want. But the point is like, we're just getting it done, It doesn't need to be like this long drawn out thing. Some concepts and teachings, yes, right? There's some things that I can't include in this membership because it takes much longer than a one-time transmission, but there's a lot of things that can be taught in that way. So anyway, that's the new vibe. Again, that's called the LFG membership. You can join right now, $99 a month. And the first teaching in this is reinvention. And it's taking place on February 9th at 6 p.m. Central. You can be there live with me, or you can watch the recording. And again, you can either grab it through the membership at that price, or you can just get it by itself. Either way, we'll link it in the show notes so you can take a look. But yeah, if you're feeling this, if you're like, I need this, like it's a change is definitely in order for your outer to reflect your inner, or your inner to reflect what you want to see on the outer. Reinvention is for you. It's going to be so much fun, and it's going to reinvigorate and reflect the next level for you. So anyway, that's all that I have for you today. If you ever have if you have questions on that, you can always reach out to me on Instagram at Allie Reeves. But I love you. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you here next week.